Well, hello, welcome. It's I've said in the post already. Happy Wednesday, Hump Day as it's known. So we're kind of midway through the week, and it's Wednesday, so that must mean it's another episode of Embrace Live. Welcome. If you've tuned in before, it's great to have you back. If it's this your first time, I'd love to know. So leave us a post on the Facebook page. It'd be great to kind of know who we've got tuning in tonight. There's still time. Please, please, please. Just get sharing this live stream with all of your friends and family online, because Embrace Live is great. Really enjoying doing this each week. And let me just introduce myself if it is your first time with us. My name's Dave Dixon. I'm part of Embrace Church in Darlington. I get the privilege of serving on the leadership team there and in different roles and with the Embrace Church family. I always say this, and I like to say this because actually, even though we are in Darlington and we are called Embrace Church, there's only really one church, and that is God's church, his bride. And we are just lots of different people gathering lots of different places, maybe with different titles and different church names and different, maybe living it out slightly differently, different flavours, I like to say. But we are literally one church, and I'm really excited about tonight. Mainly because, Embrace Life has been going so well, and I'm so, thankful for how well it's been going. And I think we're up to about episode, I want to say 23, 24. I'll have to go back and check on that one. And if you haven't seen any of the other episodes, obviously you can go back and catch up on them on our Embrace Church Darlington Facebook page or our YouTube channel. And I'll just kind of put those details on a little bit later on. But I'm really excited tonight because we've got the one and only Graham C joining us tonight. And a lot of people, when they gave feedback on Embrace Live just a month or so ago, when we were just kind of taking stock of things and just seeing how it was going and what was working well, what do we need to kind of tweak and improve on. A lot of people said that they love hearing people's stories. And Graham is joining us tonight, who has got an amazing story of how he was saved and how he continues to impact people's lives in different ways through his ministry, Sowing Seeds. So I'm really, really excited because he's a busy fella. So I was able to kind of, nail him to a date, which is great. I'm just looking at him on my other monitor over here, like I like to do, just to make sure he's smiling at this point. He is. That's all right. That's good. Okay. We'll bring Graham in a moment just to say a quick hello, and then we'll get going. But I just want to say I'm really excited about how Embrace Live has been going, how it is going, and how it's going to be, because I've been really busy in the last few weeks just reaching out to friends of mine all over the country and other places, really, just to kind of say, look, do you fancy coming on? And I just want to kind of head over to this slide slightly here, because I'm really excited just to kind of show you some of the people that will be joining us from next week, and then we're going to take a break over the Christmas holidays. Because I'm a teacher basically, so I work in academic kind of terms and things. I need a bit of a break. And so after Christmas in January, we've got these wonderful people in. So you can see kind of from the top to the bottom, we've got Tony Grange. He's actually joining us next week. Good friend Steve Whitehouse. So this is after Christmas. Tim Y. Williams. Steve is a worship leader. Tim Y. Williams is Tees Valley, Youth for Christ director. We've got Ben Jack, who works for all sorts of people. No, I think it's I've forgotten the name. Oh, that'll come back to me. That's embarrassing. The amazing Ken Riley, and then we've got Nat Moody, John Searle. We've got Jamie Daniels, who also does YFC director's role in North East. We've got Christine Gunn as well, Claire Harrison, and we've got Barry and Vicky Thompson as well from down. So loads of people, and I've got a number of invites out already to people, just asking them whose names and pictures are not on that wonderful gallery of smiley people. Don't they look great? Don't they? They all look just absolutely like models and things. It's brilliant. Okay, hopefully you're feeling a bit smiley with that. It would be great to kind of hear from you. So as always, we want this to be an interactive session. If you're joining us live, thank you so much, and we want you to kind of ask your questions for Graham. We want to kind of respond to your comments. We want to hear obviously Graham's story and like you say, just what he does through Sowing Seeds Ministry. But we also want to respond to you as well, and that's the big advantage of joining us live tonight. Okay, let's head over to Graham and just say a quick hello, just to see how he's doing. You all right, Graham?
Hi there. How are you doing, Dave?
All right. Are you well?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
well, mate. Yeah, all good.
Good. Really, thank you for joining us tonight. I know you're a busy fella, and you've got a packed diary, so it's great that you've kind of been able to kind of spare us a few hours, or a few hours. We hopefully won't go on for that long. An hour or so, just to kind of hear from you and stuff like that. So, looking forward. Thanks very much for being on tonight, mate. Looking forward to it. All right.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's
Okay.
all right,
Good.
Dave. No problem.
Good stuff. So, what I'm going to do is, in a moment, like you say, this series is around about, we've called it Leaders, and I'll run the kind of Leaders intro. And we've been doing this for a number of weeks now, but, there are so many different people who lead in lots of different ways, who maybe don't have, a kind of official title and so on. But we are all influential in the groups of people, maybe our family or friends that we meet with and we live life with. Maybe our colleagues at work were influential, and so I don't want people to get hung up on this word leaders and so on. Really, we're just interested about, actually, I might even change the title, like I say, of the series, how people came to know Jesus themselves. Okay, to come to that point where they made a commitment to, they recognize that Jesus is who he says he is. He's the Son of God, that he died on the cross, but he raised from the dead, new life, and we can have, a relationship with our Heavenly Father through Jesus and through the saving nature of the cross and live out. And, again, just how Jesus is working through us as we're kind of living that transformation kind of journey, but how we can do the stuff for God and what are we doing. That's really what I want to hear from us, how people are passionate, what they're doing, how they're living it out. Because, we're all doers and so on. So before we go any further, let me just say hello to a few people who've joined us tonight. So hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us. As always, you're a regular, which is great. Sue and Wrigglesworth as well. And Sue's just saying hello, Graham and Dave from Bill and Sue, which is great. So Bill and Sue are wonderful people that have the privilege of worshipping with them at Embrace Church, Darlington. And, they are great and absolute legends. They really are. So, if you're tuning in tonight, then please let us know. We've got a number of people online I can see. Just like I say, post a comment, just say hello. And like I say, as we go through, we want to, obviously interact with you and respond to what you're saying. So, without further ado, let me hit this Leaders intro video, and then we're going to get over to chatting more with Graham tonight, which is obviously the most important thing to do, isn't it? There we go. Hello, Graham. All right, so here we are. Are we good?
Right,
We're
Dave.
all right?
Oh, really good, Dave. Yeah.
I don't know whether that's a heavenly glow you've got in that room or just your light on the ceiling, but, either way, it looks like a really good effect. I'm loving it. It's great.
Looks all right. Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So I've just noticed, actually, as I was just having a quick check why that video was on, that actually just who's tuning in tonight, and I've just noticed that my mother's online, so I better behave myself, Graham. So will you give me a hand and keep me in check? Is that all right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, and I just want to put on a few of these kind of comments that we've got. Just so there's Sue's comment, just saying hello, showing you a bit of love there, Graham. Obviously, and myself, which is great, and from Bill and Sue, and then here we go. We've got Nathaniel. Here we go. If I put this on, describing you as the main man, Graham Seed. How's that sound?
Yeah, it's Nathaniel. Yeah, hey Nathaniel, you okay?
Oh, good. So listen, I mean, I've got a copy of your book here, and I was just I've read it. I haven't read it for a while, so this might actually just prompt. I've read it before, but I might just pick it up again and give it another read, really, mate, and just to see what. Do you know what I was looking on the back? Obviously, just what the info there said, and you can see if you can pick it up. The forward is by a guy called. Well, it's a little bit out of focus. Sorry, Nicky Gumbel. who's an Anglican minister in Holy Trinity Church in Brompton, which is in London, which is a huge Anglican church. And he says this, he says, Graham is living proof that Jesus is alive and is still transforming lives today. And I know that you've got an amazing story, and we're looking forward to hearing some of that, mate, tonight, if we could. What life was like before, what the circumstances, what was happening around the time when then you actually met Jesus for yourself and made a decision, and then obviously the amazing work that you do through Sowing Seeds Ministry, and what does that look like these days and things. But you know what, I was thinking, and I'm going to shut up in a moment because I want you to speak, but I was thinking, listen, if you haven't got Graham's book, you need to buy this. You need to get hold of a copy and you need to read it. And you know what you need to do? After you've read it, you need to give it to somebody who doesn't know Jesus. All right? And then you give it to them, and they, and obviously have a chat with them about that. And so, you know what, Graham, I was thinking back, actually, when was the first time, I met you? And you know what? It was a long time ago. You won't remember this, but in times gone by when I was much, much younger, I was involved in a Christian youth event that happened on a monthly basis called the Crucible. Not the snooker place, but it was called the Crucible, and it was a great youth event, and it was really popular with churches across the Northeast, and young people used to gather each month. And it originally started in the Stockton Baptist Tabernacle Church. Then we outgrew that, so I was involved in the worship team and things like that, and we used to have visiting speakers. And then we went to a place in Middlesbrough, at Hallgarth School, and they had this hexagonal theatre. I don't know if you remember ever going to there, but I
remember it really well.
Yeah, and I remember really. It was just as the meeting was starting. The person who was hosting the meeting was doing that, and I was in the band, like I say, but I needed the loo really quickly, and the loos were downstairs because it was actually a theatre that was upstairs, but you go up the stairs to it, but the loos were downstairs. So I nipped out, and you were in the foyer, and there was just just you and nobody else. And I thought, wow, he looks a character. I must admit, mate, I came back upstairs after using the loo and said to the guys who'd like to see us, I said, hey, just keep an eye on this fella, will you? And then you got up and shared your story, and I was just like bowled over. I was just like, wow. So that was the first time I'd met you. I don't think I introduced myself at that point, but then that was the first time I encountered who you were and heard your story, and it was just like amazing. And obviously I just kind of repent a bit here at this point in front of you and everybody else who's kind of joined in. Sorry for judging you and like that in that moment, mate.
That's all right, brother.
So Graham, tell us a bit about yourself, who you are first of all, and I know you've got your book and everything, and we want to plug that, and certainly people are agreeing already. It's a fantastic book, and everybody should get hold of a copy and, like I say, read it and then pass it on. But who are you? What are you married? Have you got kids? Those kind of things.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows me as Graham. I'm from Middlesbrough, and I'm married to Natasha. It's an amazing story in itself how I met Natasha.
Yeah,
I've got two awesome boys, Caleb and Boaz, who've got awesome stories themselves.
Right.
We're in the middle of moving at the moment. Bit of turmoil going on. So I've spent most of my time now in Sunderland in a school, and then travelling back and running alpha courses and Bible studies and one-to-one pastoral stuff till on a night. So usually on a Wednesday I'm in Bolton. So I travel to Bolton on a Wednesday night every Wednesday.
Wow.
We set up a church there in the beginning of the summer. So it's quite a busy time,
So in the middle of moving and it seems like you're taking a night off from Bolton just to be with us. Like I say, I know you're a busy guy, and I really appreciate that, mate. Thank you ever so much for giving up your time tonight. Right. It's brilliant. So listen,
no problem.
Will you tell us a bit of your story then? Obviously, what was life before? Sorry if I'm tripping over my words. Before then, how you came to meet Jesus and how it's been since. Just how it's been since, really. Just kind of three big questions there, but
definitely. Well, I always start at the beginning with when you can really remember, when I was about 9.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends who, you know, had dads and mums, and some of them, the dads had split up with the mums, but on a weekend they seen the dads.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen my dad ever. And I remember asking my mother one time, and she said, "Don't worry, you've got me and your nana and granddad, and you don't need to worry about that." So I never asked her again, to be fair.
Right.
But we moved from the Berwick Hills estate, the council estate where I'd lived, and we went to a nice estate. And my mum got married and moved into another house, and it kind of had a real big effect on me because when my mum, I shared a room with my mum. I had a little bed at the end of the bed, air bed, a little tiny bed, and my mum worked in a pub called the Erimus Social Club after she worked at the Jack and Jill, and so she often got in late. But the thing for me is that I couldn't really rest until I seen her.
Yeah.
And many times she wasn't there, and I remember crying myself to sleep and things like that. So the reason I'm telling you that is because my mum was for the first 10 years, was a big part of my life, you know. My nana was very poorly. She was going to a mental institution and every day, and often getting electric shock treatment and things like that. So, I mean, both my nan and granddad had been in the Second World War, so my granddad was quite strict. And then there was three uncles, John, Derek and Terry. And but John and Derek had moved on, and Terry was still at home. But we moved to this nice estate, and the one thing I noticed is everyone had mums and dads, brothers and sisters and stuff. And you know, I learned very early to put a mask on.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the very, very early days, from about 10 to 11, I got bullied verbally. So people said things to me that about my nana, about me not having a mum and dad, and about this, that, and the other.
Right.
And so I very quickly learned how to look after myself. So it wasn't long until I'd gone boxing and stuff like that, playing rugby, and joined a gang. There was a gang in a place called Boyd Estate, and they were all skinheads in Brambles Farm.
Yeah.
And I joined them and found like another family, like so. But to be fair, it was all about crime.
Right.
And you know, as much as I tried to be good for my nana, I'd got like this new life, and I reckon most of it was kind of trying to impress the lads who were running the gang and all the rest of them. So I was drinking, taking magic mushrooms, getting in trouble with the police, and there's been some serious times I've been arrested in them early years, you know.
Yeah.
A lad was killed outside of the Rock Garden nightclub, and the police take you in and they interviewing you about murder, and all of a sudden it dawns on you that you might see the light of day again.
Wow.
But the thing is, Dave, I've become very selfish, and I suppose that's a big status of the world at the moment. It's very selfish, and it's all about me, and that's what it become. So I'd kind of, instead of probably, because not knowing really what love was, adoring my mother, wanting to see her, wanting to know that she was there, I grew to kind of despise her.
Right.
Really, I couldn't handle it inside, and it was evident because I did everything she said don't do.
Right. Yeah.
And I got tattoos when I was really young, and my ears pierced. When I was a little young lad, my mum used to talk to her friends, "Oh, look at his long blonde hair." So I shaved it all off to how short yours is now.
Yeah.
Shaved it all off the lot, right? And that was the status, and getting the tattoos and the earrings, and so I thought I was living a good life, but really I was slipping down a slippery slope. Anyway, I eventually went to jail. Went to a jail called Medhamsley, which will come into the story just now. But it was meant to be a quick, sharp shock, but it didn't work to me. 75% of people who went there didn't get into trouble again. But what happened was a significant start of my life. I came out of Medhamsley, and went back to live with my nana's. And I'm 16 now. I'm nearly 17. And my granddad died,
Right.
and something inside changed again. So, like, I know my mum didn't die, but she left my life. You know what I mean? And now another person left my life. And to be fair, I always thought whenever I got close to someone, they left. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in my heart, it was never let anyone close to me. So I was very close to these lads who I was involved with as a skinhead, but I could never. It would never last as friendship because I pushed them away
Right.
because I didn't let them in.
Yeah.
Wearing a mask constantly, thinking like if I look good, everything will work out well. So anyway, the next thing I joined a football firm. I'd only go to matches to fight. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I start going to matches, start getting injured, stabbed, and hit with hammers, and all kinds of things start happening to me. And then jail sentences, and there's just one thing after another. But at the time, you don't really see out, you don't really notice it. And I was involved with selling counterfeit clothes and making a lot of money, and had my own house and cars, and I thought I had respect and all that. But really, I had everything, but I had nothing. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But even though I had like the muscles, the Armani suits and Lacoste track suits and crocodile skin shoes and all that, and the gold, and I really went to bed on the night, and the little 7-year-old boy used to cry himself to sleep. He'd come back to life. He'd
Right. Yeah.
wake up again inside me, but I'd just put a mask on the next day and get on with it. But I'd learned I was a master at disguising things, you know what I mean? I was also like a chameleon, so I could adapt to every situation. And I was sick of it, to be honest. So I went to jail again, and I got out of prison in 1990 and made the decision to leave Middlesbrough, go and live
Right.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I went to live in Wakefield, and I got a job in Lutset at the catalogue firm, MI catalogue firm,
Yeah.
and I was doing all right, but this is when I speak a lot about our thoughts, you know, and I'm trying to help people to go forward and trying to train their brains into thinking something different. I tell them this story. I had a flat, I had money, I'd got some new friends. I was doing all right, you know, and I had a job and all that. And then one morning, for no reason whatsoever, this thought popped in my head, and it said, "What are you doing here, Doyle? Working like 5.5 days a week for 110 quid.
Mm.
You used to get 110 quid in 10 minutes." So, and it came like from nowhere, just my thoughts.
Yeah.
And in Hebrews 3, it talks about our thoughts, fixing them on the high priest and Apostle Jesus. Now, I didn't know nothing about Jesus, so these thoughts just popped in my head. So I started robbing the firm,
Right.
and obviously I get the sack. So now I'm determined not to go back to Middlesbrough, because I've told everybody I'm going to get a new life, I'm going to have a good life. Anyway, I get a job working on the door of a nightclub called Rooftop Gardens, and then in a pub called the Woolpack on Woolpack Court in top of Westgate in Wakefield. Anyway, cut long story short, New Year's Eve of 1990 to 1991, I hit an undercover policeman and went
Right.
back to jail. I was released from prison after being in army jail in 1992, November, and I got back to Middlesbrough expecting like me to feel happy again. But to be honest, Dave, in that jail in Leeds, I had a breakdown.
Right.
Now, it wasn't the jail that gave me the breakdown, it was the actual failure. I'd really, really tried. I'd changed my whole area of living. I felt just a failure. And what happened to me was when my nana died when I was 20, well, nearly 20, I felt my life had caved in, to be fair. And when I was in that prison in I went in 1989, got out in 1990, I felt in Durham, I
Mm.
felt that I'd done loads of, I didn't deserve to live, to be fair, because of all the things I'd done, lying to my nana, robbing my mother, doing all them bad things, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm in this jail in Wakefield in Leeds, and I had a breakdown. But they reckon I had like an internal psychotic break where it was all inwards, you know. And I ended up in the mental institution where my nana went, and they said I might be a manic depressive or whatever, you know. But I know in this jail that something happened to me, and I just felt bad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the jail; it was just me. I just felt a failure. Anyway, when I got back to Middlesbrough, I was expecting getting back to Borough that I was going to be all right, you know, go out again, get some nightclubs, meet people, but everyone was different. Now you've got to remember, I've been to jail since 1989, and I get out and then I go to live in Wakefield, and then I've been in Wakefield in jail till 1992 November, so it's nearly 4 years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember going into a pub and someone saying to me, "Now, Graham, how are you doing? I haven't seen you for a while." And I thought, "You haven't seen me for a while. I've been gone 4 years."
Mm.
And it started to dawn on me that actually no one really was bothered.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
as though like I didn't expect they were going to think I was the mayor or something when I got back or out like that. But
Yeah.
I did expect like people to think, "Oh, where have you been? You know, you've been gone ages." You know,
Yeah.
but it didn't seem like as though like how can Middlesbrough get on itself without me? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I couldn't get my head around it. So I was depressed.
Right.
And I know you shouldn't be depressed because you've got nothing depressed about because I've never done out, just a criminal. Do you know what I mean? I didn't deserve now. So I started drinking, but I wanted to live somewhere. I wanted to not be indoors anywhere. So I found a bench outside of the Grades Road post office in Middlesbrough near McDonald's. And I started drinking heavily there. I mean, big time, really heavily drinking. And I lived on a bench for 3 years, Dave. And the first year and a half, I could probably get money and stuff like that. But then I started smoking heroin, crack, and anything I get my hands on to try and get rid of these guilt thoughts, this shame.
Yeah.
You know, that's in my head. And like, you know, shame's like it's like a prison in it. It's like you're imprisoned with something that you can't get out of. I just couldn't get away from these thoughts, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was March of 1996, and I'm a tramp. You know, my old friends, even my own friends, my best friends, was like saying to me, "Don't come to our house anymore because you're at our house and you were sick on the floor, and the city's a state where you're being laid and you're not being showered or bathed." Or
Right.
so some of my even good friends wouldn't let me in their house. People who owned shops didn't want me in because I stunk, you know.
Mm.
And anyway, when things couldn't have got any worse, I set fire to my leg, and I had to go into hospital and get it looked at because it'd gone poisonous. And they had to surgically remove my socks, and
Wow.
because I had my socks on about 4 or 5 months, you know, and the skin had grown into my feet, into my socks,
Wow.
and so I was in it. It was just horrendous, you know, but I didn't care. Anyway, I one night a load of lads come out. A man called Patrick Hinton had set up an organisation called Teen Challenge Teesside, which
Yeah.
David Wilkinson set up in the Bronx in 1958. And the first person he ever spoke to the first night was me. And there was a man called Brian Wade. He came and told me that Jesus loved me.
Mm.
Now, there's two problems with that, Dave. One is there's no such thing as love, because love's a man-made manipulation tool. I use that word when I want something from someone.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as Jesus, because my nana sang about Jesus on a Sunday, and I thought she had a terrible life. So don't tell me about Jesus. I chased him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I told him to go away politely in French, I think it was. But anyway, the next week we were back again talking about Jesus. Cut a long story short, the 9th of August 1996, I went to a coma on the street near my bench and took to hospital. Tried to get me back to life, tried to get me to respond. I had several major things wrong with me. And my mother was called to the hospital on the last night of the coma now. rewind to my mother when I was 22. She disowned me and said she had a son, he died
Wow.
because I
Yeah.
was that bad, you know. She moved when I was 16 to Durham, see.
Yeah.
She couldn't take any more. So she came to the hospital on the 6th night of the coma and was advised to turn the machine off that was keeping me alive.
Wow.
Now, the Teen Challenge lads are out and about looking around, you know, it's where, you know, where's grand people are saying he's dead. He got took in a body bag, which I did, but it was only up to here. I was covered in foil and put in a bag because I had hypothermia,
Yeah. Yeah.
pneumonia.
Yeah.
So they had to put me in this, try and get me warm. Anyway, um, 3 lads came to the hospital. One was Pete Conroy, Aidan Poulter and Nicky Rice. They came to the hospital on that night to find out what was going on. Now, my mate Tony was there, and people from all over had come to the hospital to say goodbye to me.
Right.
And he said these lads came and seen your mum, and my mum said, "Look, he's dead. You know, they want me to turn the machine off, but I've asked them to give me a couple of more hours." So Pete and Aidan and Nicky said, "Can we pray for him?" So they went into the hospital, into the bedroom, the intensive care room, got all tubes coming up, we got a ventilator mask on, and prayed for me. And I asked them what they prayed, and they said, "In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, give this man new life." And I woke up, pulled the ventilator out my throat because I was choking. And my mum went and got the consultant. He came and checked me over and said, "He's alive, he's made a remarkable recovery."
Wow.
And my
Yeah.
mum said, I said to him, "Well, I've got the forms here. You want me to turn the machine off? How come he's back to life?" And he had no answers. His name was Dr. Cove Smith. I later had a good relationship with him. But I went back to sleep because I was like, I'd come back to life, but I went back to sleep. When I woke up, I had an oxygen mask on, and my mum was there. And so I asked her what happened, where I was, and that. She told me that I'd been laid there for 6 days and I'd died, and some lads prayed for me. And I said, "Well, if there is a God or a Jesus, what does he want to know about a scumbag like me for?"
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that Jesus came for the sick. I thought he only liked nice people. So anyway, I was in hospital for nearly 8 weeks, and for 3 weeks I couldn't walk. Like, I couldn't get out of bed. So I had a lot of time to think. And one of all the things I thought about for a long time was my past. I just thought about my past and how I'd been and the really dirty low life tricks that I'd pulled. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Some things that I'd never repeat, you know, but I've done some extremely stupid stuff and bad stuff, and rightly so. I was a scumbag, you know, a dirty low life scumbag. You know, the things I've said and the people I've hurt and that, you know.
Yeah.
So when I came out of hospital, I went to live back in Winniebanks on Eckert Avenue. I lived in the back bedroom of a house, and I didn't know what I did, I didn't know what to do because I had some people wanting me to go to the gym, and some people wanted to give me some clothes, some people wanted me to maybe go back to how I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't want anything. I didn't want to know about Jesus. I didn't want the old life. But I didn't know what I wanted. But when I looked out the window one night, so about 2 nights after me being in hospital, I've seen these kids, they were young lads and lasses. There was a burnt out car that was smoking green and drinking cheap wine. And honestly, as I seen them, my heart was beating. And I hobbled, like, got on my bum down the stairs because I couldn't walk downstairs or upstairs. And I went outside and I started talking to them. They all knew me. I knew their families. I started telling them about not drinking and taking drugs and fighting and robbing people. And I went in that night and I kind of found my purpose really, but I didn't know what to do. I was a bit gutted because I had nothing to offer them because I was worse than anyone. In
Yeah.
fact, one of the kids said, "But my granddad said you were worse than anyone that on this estate."
Yeah.
So I was gutted. And then I got this video about David Hampton. He used to be a terrorist in Northern Ireland, and I watched it. I watched it 4 times that night. That's why I made the DVD, One Step Beyond.
Mm.
And well, Albert got it made for me, but that's why I wanted it making, because I watched it and I went on Alpha course. Now Nicky Gumbel, he was the creator of the Alpha course, and I went on one of them Alpha courses. And the interesting thing is, that I only went because I thought you got food.
Yeah.
You know, you get a nice meal.
Yeah.
And I went to this Alpha course, and I sat next to this strange guy called Dave Benjamin, and he had long hair and a black leather jacket on. And this is the truth. I thought, what on earth am I doing in here with these lot? And next to this, why am I sat next to this lad? He looks like weird. But there was a lad called Bob Hodgson and John Noble serving the food. And then Dave said some words that came out of his mouth that I'll never forget. That made me love him. He said, "Bob, have you got any seconds?"
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
said,
that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah.
"Can I have some as well?" So I thought I'll sit next to him every week. You know what I mean? He became a very good friend of mine. But the thing is, when I went into this Alpha course, I had an idea what I was going to do. I was going to eat the food. When they all went to listen about this Jesus fella, I'll go and mooch around this big church.
Yeah.
Because there's bound to be something worth like taking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'll come back, get tea and coffee, load of biscuits, and then I'll go back again on the mooch and then I'll go home. But it didn't happen like that because I went and sat in this room and I sat in the middle and I couldn't get out. And Martin Ruddick told a story about a man called Jesus, who he was. Now, I never knew who he was.
Right.
And the week after, why he died, I didn't know why Jesus died. He died for scumbags like me and everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And something was going on inside me. Something was happening to me. And Aidan Poulter was coming to my house quite a lot, and Pete. I used to sit with Aidan for days and talk with him. And I was introduced to a man called Patrick Hinton, and he used to help me and talk to me. But what happened was that I went on the day away. Now, I went on this day away. I don't know what I was expecting, but on the third talk on the afternoon at Broccoli Hall in Saltburn, Martin did this talk and said, "Does anyone know about Ask Jesus and the Life Stand Up?" So I stood up and I said, "Jesus, if you love me, then I need to tell you words aren't enough because people have told me all my life they love me."
Yeah.
And to be fair, words are not. I don't believe that word love. And it wasn't a command or a demand. I really meant it from my heart. I said, "If you're real, come into my life, and if I know you're real, I'll tell everyone about you for the rest of my life on the planet." And there and then I sat back on my chair crying. Now, I'd made the decision when I was 11 not to cry ever again for no one.
Right.
I know you cry when you're drunk because you cry about anything, but sober, I'd never cried. I made a decision, but here I was crying. And I often tell people there's 3 very important things we need to know about ourselves. One is where we're from, one is who we are, and the other one is where we're going. Now, I wasn't planned, Dave. In fact, I was a result of a violent encounter on a night.
Right.
And so it was very special to me to know that I wasn't planned, but Jesus loved me that much that I was made into existence.
Mm.
So I was really blessed. And so I knew where I was from, or who I was a child of God. And 3, where I'm going to tell everyone I ever meet about Jesus. Now, that was 25 years ago. And every single day of my life for 25 years, I've told someone about Jesus.
Yeah.
Every other day, I brought someone to the Lord.
Wow.
My book's been read by over 1 million prisoners. It's all it is to glorify Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
And people are just constantly getting in touch with us, telling us about how they've given their life to the Lord through the book, the DVD. But that's the only reason I exist, Dave. Not for me. I'm not bothered about the book and
Yeah.
the DVDs and all. I'm more bothered about who gets to know Jesus, because I know that's real.
Yeah.
Because I often say to the people, if it wasn't Jesus, I want to ask you the question: where did the violence go? Where did the pain go? The rejection? Where did the lies and the swearing, and where did it go in one night?
Yeah.
How did it just vanish? I'd never went to rehab. I was addicted to alcohol and drugs. I didn't have one withdrawal symptom, not one.
Wow.
I was totally instantly free. I didn't smoke. I haven't smoked, drank. I haven't done anything for 25 years. I haven't been to jail for 26 years.
Yeah.
So something really happened to me in that coma.
Mm.
Now I want to tell you something, because I'd never read the Bible ever. I just smoked it in jail because you smoke the pages, but never read it ever. Never once was interested in it. So I wouldn't know anything about the Bible. And people often say to me, did you see out in that coma? Well, anyone who knows me will know this story. When I was in that coma, I felt I'd seen this wax figure melting. And this figure was melting, and it was me. I could see my face in this coma.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
was melting. It was red hot. It was fire. Then all of a sudden, Dave, this ginormous hand come, got me, and put me in the most purest water you can ever think of. And then I woke up out the coma. And when I told Patrick that story, he said in Revelation 22, verse 1, it says, there's a river that flows, a river of life flows from the throne of God. So I didn't know that. But what I know now is I was in hell, on my way to hell.
Yeah.
And God's put me in this pure water, the river of life. Yeah. And that is why I believe I was never addicted again. Didn't need any of that life again. Wow. So I needed a purpose, Dave, And at first I didn't know what that was, only to tell people. I went back to jail, I was invited back to prison. I went to the School of Evangelism in London, Teen Challenge. The third week I was there, I met Natasha at church. I told her my story on the last night I was there. The next day I rang her, the day after she rang me, and then we talked to each other on the Sunday. That was November the 22nd, 1998. June the 19th we got married. She came and moved to Middlesbrough. Longer story than that. A year later we had our first boy. 3 years after that we had another boy. And then things started opening up a lot. I met Nicky Gumbel in the team, Paul Cowley and Emmy Wilson started travelling across Europe in the prisons, and not letting anyone know what the left hand was, the right hand knowing what the left hand's doing. Everything I was doing was unseen, which was great for me. I was in prison, wherever I went, in the cells, and seeing thousands and thousands and thousands of people across Europe and in England get to know Jesus in the prison system. Yeah. And I just started to escalate in the word of mouth, and then there was a change in the leadership at the Oakwood, and I stayed with everyone. My pastor had gone, Phil had gone. My first pastor died, Ian. As you know more than I did.
Yeah.
Sylvia died. I only knew her for a while, and Ian had become very close to Ian. Ian used to come to prison with me. He used to go to the kids' jail, and I really loved him. And as you did, and then Phil Hillsden come, and then there went, and then again it was a little bit like people are disappearing,
Right, yeah.
But I think the worst thing for me, Dave, in that time was Patrick Hinton died, who was my mentor. The church kind of had a bit of a break-up. I didn't know what to make of it,
Yeah.
But I just kept going on. And in June 2006, I was sat in my front room, and it was early morning, very early, and I felt really the Lord directed me to set up a ministry called Sowing Seeds Ministries.
Brilliant.
Nothing to do with my name, but it was to do with Matthew 13. And so I did. I set up this charity in April. I prayed a lot about it, and threw out a fleece, and I was, hoping the Lord would show me. And within 3 months, I had 6 sides of A4 prophecies that I didn't know of, people who were giving me messages about just setting up the charity and things and all that, trusting God. And
Yeah.
so I set up Sowing Seeds Ministries, which again was mainly for a prison ministry and helping young people and families. But to be fair, Hassock Field Secure Training Centre, which was the first jail I was ever in as a kid, that got knocked down. I became the chaplain there for 15 years. That got shut down in November 14, and I'd already been going into school a bit, and then Home House got a new leadership team in the chapel, so I didn't know what to do. I just started concentrating on going into schools, and we got a building in Stockton above Rebels Pub on Bishop Lane, and things started like escalating. I thought I was thought I'd set up a church. Didn't work because I'm not a pastor. So I realised that if I get involved with something too much like that, I'll wreck it. That's why the church in Bolton runs great, because I'm not a pastor. So I really acknowledge that my evangelistic pastoral gift is used in a school where you can't mention Jesus.
Yeah.
How I overcome that is I use scripture every day without telling them what it is, and seeing some amazing things happening. So, like I say, my boys are 18 now and 21.
Yeah.
Caleb's at UCL in London. Boaz is at college in Dalton. In between playing football for different teams, was at Hartlepool United for a while. So I've got 2 awesome boys,
Yeah, brilliant.
and an amazing wife. And to be honest, I want to just go right back at the beginning, because one of the things I used to pray for, probably when I met you and seeing you around all them times, was that the Lord would give me a family, my own family. Because even though, and I'm just being honest, even though my nana and granddad and my uncles and my mum tried to make me feel part of that family, I didn't believe I was.
Right.
I remember one time being out in the street and someone saying, "Well, how come you can be part of that family? Because no one's got the same name as you." Because my nana and granddad were gone, my mum was Lawson, and I was Seed.
Yeah.
So when someone says that, you can't deny the fact. Do you know what I mean? So I never ever deeply inside felt part of that family, even though they tried to make me, tried their hardest, the 3 lads and my nana and granddad tried their hardest. It was all me. I decided that I never want to be part of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was me who pulled away. They tried, but I didn't want to know. And but when I prayed and I asked Jesus for a family, he listens, and he always listens. But sometimes you don't like the answers. And I've learned the lesson that if we want Jesus to drive our car, then we shouldn't be moaning when he goes down Generosity Street or Extra Time Street or Servanthood Street. We can't have just the Blessed Street and the Gift Street.
Yeah.
We go down, we have to do what he says. And so over the last 25 years, it's been a roller coaster, Dave, of emotions and trials. But what I said to Jesus on that day, November the 9th, 1996 at 2:45, was I'll tell everyone about you. I've done, and I continue to do it.
Yeah.
But obviously with the book and the DVD, it's done in a much bigger way.
Yeah.
That's all it's for, to glorify Jesus.
Yeah.
So my book tells you a lot more. I mean, if anyone gets in touch with us, we've got the books in our centre now, because I have the whole right of the book now.
Right.
CWI didn't want to let go of it because it was such a popular book for them, which was great for them to help them as well.
Yeah.
But they've changed all their CEOs and that now, CWR. So I've actually got the rights for that book again.
Amazing.
So we have it now. We're going to get it published again. I've got about 200 copies left, so I can give people books if they want them. So they just have to contact us, right?
Yeah.
We'll get them.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's well worth, I'm a little bit out of focus there, well worth definitely getting hold of this. Like we said right at the beginning of the show, get hold of a copy, read it yourself, and then, give it to somebody, preferably who doesn't know, your story, Graham.
Yeah.
And, the impact that the miracle that Jesus did in your life, I mean, it's astounding, I mean, literally, I always say with these kind of sessions that when we do these episodes, that a good sign of just people who are engrossed is that they never ask any kind of questions. And it's been quite quiet for, most of what you've been saying. Because, again, I've just been absorbed by your story, and it's amazing. The amazing story of how Jesus changed your life and how you've become so, healed miraculously from all of your addictions. And then, how passionate you are about sharing your story, and the love of Jesus with others, again, from the kids on, I think it was Winnie Banks, you said it was, where you saw the kids and then you kind of almost going down the stairs on your backside because you couldn't walk, and going out and sharing and finding a purpose. I like, I'm very impressed with your recall of dates and times and everything else like that. I'm guessing that you need to know that information quite regularly about where you were at a certain point in the time and so on like that.
I was going to say I used to need a good alibi years ago.
Yeah. My father-in-law was a bobby for Cleveland Police, and let's just say he was aware of you in your former kind of days as well. So listen, I'm really over the moon that you've carved out the time, because, like you say, you're so busy, and you've kind of found this gap for us, and it's amazing. And I just want to put this on from Kay. Now, I actually work with Kay in the school, and you can see there that she's a new listener, and she just wants to say thanks, Graham, for sharing your story, because again, it's amazing to hear what God has done for you, how He's changed your life in a miraculous way, and how you go about living that out now. Like you say, you made that promise. And you're living it out, and it's incredible that you are used in such a way to be able to impact thousands of people's lives by telling them your story and just telling them how amazing, like you said, and you've made it quite clear, particularly when we start mentioning things like the book and the DVD, it's all for the glory of God. It's not for you and glorifying yourself and stuff like that. And you made that really clear, and I know that's the case, mate. You definitely.
And I really, I think anyone who really knows me will know that that's what I'm about.
Absolutely.
Not interested in anything else.
Yeah, absolutely, totally. You can see that absolutely. So you mentioned just I mean, what time? I mean, as always, the time's gone really quickly. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes left before we kind of need to wrap up for tonight. And I'm sure there's just so much more that you could tell us and want to talk about. And no doubt the people who are watching, live now and knows that maybe catch it on demand at a later time will be totally inspired about you and your story and your ministry, and want to support you and want to kind of know more and get in touch. So you mentioned that you have a centre. Where's that centre then? You referenced the centre when you said about the books and stuff.
Yeah, it's in Stockton. There's a road called Bishopton Lane. Now Argos used to be there.
Yeah.
And there's a pub called Rebels.
Yeah.
And we're upstairs above there. You'll see we've got 2 double doors with the signs on.
Yeah.
You can't miss us. We've got a big white crossing that's lit up all the time. I put it in there 15 years ago because me and Natasha wanted the people who were going past to see the warmth of the cross,
Mm.
And people have been saved just because they're seeing that cross,
Wow. So what's the centre used for, Graham? What do you do out there? What happens?
It's a discipleship centre, but it's used on a night. It's a gym on a night for catch wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and my friend Chris runs that. He's an excellent coach. They do sambo and things like that. a lot of the young people off the estate go there and train and learn discipline and learn humility, really.
Yeah.
That's open most nights. And then Wednesdays and Fridays, we have, on a Wednesday, there's a prayer meeting Bible study with John Banks. Then Monday night and Tuesday night, we do we're doing a study on Galatians at the moment.
Right, yeah.
Thursday night, we run Alpha. Fridays is like a community church. So you go there for about 11:30,
Yeah.
get some dinner, a cup of coffee, not a lot of dinner, it's like a sandwich and or a bit of pizza, and then there's a worship and a message, so different people come to speak and things like that. So it's open quite a lot. It used to be open every day, but it became like a drop-in centre.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to be that. It's like a discipleship centre where if you want to move one further,
Yeah.
you can come there and join in the groups. And a lot of people say it's a lot of love there,
Yeah.
So we have a few people that come every day, every Wednesday and Friday, and on a night and that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, of course, you're just around the corner, aren't you, from Brian and Stella at the Jones at the Moses Project,
That's it. That's it, yeah, just around the corner, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that building that they're in,
Yeah.
we found that building. We were going to buy it.
Right.
And then we didn't think it was right because, so I was telling Albert about it and he was like, he's seen it with me. And then when I said we didn't want it, he kind of what they call it, the Moses Project got it then.
Yeah.
I think it's ideal for what they need it for.
Yeah.
But but for us, it wasn't. For some reason, it wasn't right, So,
yeah, absolutely. But it's great that obviously you've got another place and so on. And so listen, how I'm going to go across to the kind of contact details, and so it's just going to focus on you for a little while, just to say, obviously if people are inspired then and by your story, which I'm sure there will be, and about your ministry, your Sowing Seeds, and how you kind of impact thousands of lives and telling your story, and obviously the love of Jesus to all these people in the prisons and so on. How can people support you then, Graham? How can people get involved if they need to, or support you and find out keep up to date with what you're doing?
Yeah, well, the best thing to do is either send us an email every single morning for the last year and a half now. I say a little prayer for you every morning, around about 10 to 6. And then they can go and watch that on the Facebook, or they can give us a ring, leave a message on the answer machine. We'll always get back to you. So that the best way is to send us an email and let us know how we can help them. If they want a book, best off send it on an email, or they can message me on a morning on Facebook. If they want a book, the book's free of charge. I don't mind giving them the book. If they want to come and pick it up on a Wednesday or a Friday, they can. It'd just be like a lot of money if say 100 people want me to post it.
Yeah.
It'd be better if someone picked them up. But like I say, the book, we're going to be able to publish the book soon ourselves. These ones I've got now, I'll just give them away.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to make a donation for the book, they can, but it's about the money. It's about getting that book into people's hands,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mate, you just, time's beating us again, and I'm just so enjoying just chatting with you and your time and stuff like that. I mean, again, I'll say it that people have been pretty quiet, in terms of adding comments, because I think they're just totally engrossed in what you're saying and your story and inspired by you, mate. So I know I am, and it's just, again, thank you for carving out the time tonight to do this.
Dave, honestly.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And, listen, everybody, you need to support Graham and the Sowing Seeds Ministry. You need to kind of keep up to date with him. Like you say, get in touch. He's got a fair few followers on Facebook, I noticed earlier when I was checking out his profile. So, obviously that's a good way to keep in touch. And certainly, I say a little prayer for you, that kind of, the voice that you do when you're singing. Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy those. Bless you, mate. All right. It's been great spending some time with you. And, you're an amazing man of God. And I really
Thank
just
you.
can't thank God for you, and just want to encourage you and ask God for His blessing, continuous blessing on your life and you and the family and everything that you do. And you're amazing. All right, mate.
Thank you, brother. God bless you.
Thank you.
Ciao, brother.
So I'm just going to
Ciao, brother.
stay online, Graham, just for a moment, because I'm just going to go and end the show, and then we'll chat a little bit more afterwards, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just going to go back here, obviously, and just say thank you again for everybody for joining us Embrace Live. So every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, apart from, like I said earlier, right at the very beginning, I'm a teacher, so I work in academics. So, during the holidays, we're going to have a bit of a break, if you don't mind. So, we've got one more next week. The amazing Tony Grange is going to join us. And then we're going to have a bit of a break, and then we're into January. And if I go back to this slide, which I'm really excited about, there's just a snapshot of some of the people that have agreed to be guests and tell their stories. And again, the same kind of thing about how they're, impacted by Jesus on their lives and knowing Jesus themselves and how they're living that out and what they're called to do in so many different ways. And so it's great that... you're engaging with this. Thank you so much. It would be really helpful if you could just kind of check us out. It's not all about, highlighting the work of Embrace Church, because I said right at the beginning, there's one church. So whichever church, whichever flavour, as long as it's Bible-based, that's fantastic, and support them. So you can check us out and keep up to date with Embrace Church if you want to. Listen, it'd be really helpful, if you wouldn't mind, if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, then that would be great. Just do a search for Embrace Church Darlington in YouTube, and that would just really help us just to kind of up the following a little bit on there, so we have more chance of being able to kind of spread the word doing this way. And of course, you can follow us on the likes of Twitter and so on. So again, huge thanks for joining us tonight, and for Graham, joining us in particular. And it's, it's amazing to hear his story. I'm totally kind of inspired again, and about what Jesus does through, in Graham's words, scumbags, so, those kind of things, but he's no longer, because he's transformed, he's made new through Jesus and that miraculous change in his life, like you say, from addiction and so on. Get in touch with Graham, follow Graham on Sowing Seeds and, on Facebook and everywhere else. And just, again, keep him in your thoughts, keep him in your prayers, support him practically. Do all of that. And, if you want to get in touch we'd love to hear from you from, Embrace Church point of view. If you, want to know more about Jesus yourself, maybe you're thinking, I've got some questions. Graham mentioned the Alpha course. Well, I know that we mention it quite regularly. So it's the Alpha course, if you're not familiar with that, it's a number of sessions, often involve food, and I like that question as well. Have you got any more? Is there a seconds? Me and Dave Benj get on very well, and so it's a great opportunity. Lots of churches run Alpha courses to go along and ask those questions and find out more, and hopefully you'll encounter Jesus for yourself in a life-changing way, and that's what we pray for. All right, so bless you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Like I say, which will be the last one before the Christmas holidays. But next week is Tony Grange, another amazing fellow, and I'm really looking forward to spending some time with him then. All right, so take care. Thank you very much.